I think over the process, I've lost 11 centimeters off my waist. So, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chris Kemp, very good morning to you, sir.
Morning, mate. How we doing?
Oh, we're doing good out here. We're enjoying a bit of sunshine, which is all nice. So, Chris, for the people watching at home, could you give us like a 30-second intro to, who are you, what do you do, where are you from, what's your fitness background? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yep. So my name's Chris Kemp. I'm 48, I think, at last count. And
last time you cared enough to check.
Yeah, indeed. And in my past history, I've been a CrossFit coach, ran CrossFit Northeast England for 5 years or thereabouts. CrossFit training took a back seat when kids came, and I've sort of dipped in and dipped out. And for the last 4 years, I've been landscape gardening, and which I've relied on to keep me relatively fit and lean. Had a big layoff over winter, and ended up putting on a stone, 10 kilos, something like that. And although work will take it off once I start, you provided me an opportunity to hasten the process, get that done, and then move on with other things.
Yeah, man. So you kind of saw this where I was talking about, okay, so here's a way of actually losing fat faster than just waiting for it to come off with, work and activity. It's like, let's give it a look and see what's happening here, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, and like you totally just dove straight in as well. Like it was awesome having you as part of the thing. It's like I love working with folks who are just very much like, hey, do this. Okay, cool, I'll go do that. And also like the other way, it's like, Will, I don't like this bit, it's shit. And it's like, cool, man, let's change it. I love getting that direct feedback from from these things as well. So
yeah, I mean, apart from the accent, we speak the same language, so it was a pretty good fit.
Yeah. Well, I suppose to tell people at home as well, like we know each other from years back as well. Like, I was also a active CrossFit person for long years. So I bumped into Chris many, many years ago. Saw you online quite a lot, first of all. It's like just all over the CrossFit landscape. And just various like events and seminars and certifications and things like that.
Yep.
So I think we kind of knew it'd work out.
Yeah. We both had experience being crash test dummies, and one more time between friends.
Yeah. So to take a certain joy in being beta testers as well. It's like, okay, let's get in to get like the cutting edge stuff. It's like sometimes you get really good stuff. Sometimes you get like burnt over. But
Indeed.
So tell me, what was like the main thing that you kind of learned? What was the big takeaway from the program? What knowledge did you come away with?
I think one of the big takeaways was, given how much food I was eating through the course of this process, and obviously losing a significant chunk of body fat, how much rubbish is in the general, lightly processed food that we eat, and the sort of sneaky traps that sort of get you. I think the caloric content of relatively innocent things like butter on toast and things really, really stuck with me. And so I've now found a sort of fuel source during the day whilst I'm at work and not really taking time with food, to sort of savor it. You can have effective fuel that's satisfying and, does the job, and, still be in a caloric deficit. So that's been a happy place. And that means that work plus that fuel, works for me now.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, it's absolutely shocking, isn't it? When you get into particularly like some of the higher fat foods, you kind of start like adding up like, okay, this is how much oil, this is how much butter, and this is how much like, what was the one you found that like that ranch dressing or something that comes with the?
Yeah, the garlic and herb dip that comes in the top of a certain branded pizza. That little tub is an extra 675 calories of joy.
You have a thing like this size, and you're like, whoa, there's like a quarter of a day's food. What?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's utterly shocking, isn't it? But yeah, it's good to actually like, okay, I have enough, here's some satisfying stuff that actually fuels me and gets through the workday, and it's like, it's about a third of the amount that I thought I needed. Whoa, this. So almost like I'm storing fuel on my body somewhere or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, how did that happen?
And what's the consequence been for you now? Now that you're at the other side, how you feeling? What's life like? How is it to have lost this weight and kind of,
It was, having put on a sizable chunk over the winter, it was somewhat demoralizing to realize the extent of it. But likewise, it has been very satisfying to see the back of most of it over a 6-week period. I've never really done any of the sort of dieting, get into a small caloric deficit and, tweak what you're doing just a little bit to get by. That sort of thing doesn't work well for me. I much prefer a sort of, right, I'm going to start afresh, apply myself to this. This is just my new normal for the next period. And then, hopefully carry along some of that change into the sort of maintenance and whatever period. And this is work trumps. But that was also balanced by the fact that because I was able to get so much protein in, I was not hungry at all through this process.
Yeah, well, that's really nice, isn't it? It's like amount of willpower required is fairly low. It's just like, okay, I'm full.
Yep. Yeah. It's sort of like my lunch break's over and I've still got food that I've got to get in my face, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're dropping fat faster than like people think you can, and you're also full all the time, like, dude, that's nice.
That's a win-win-win. And as we alluded to in an early sort of message back and forth, it's also helped with my hydration. Because you very kindly pointed out that if I didn't get that right, that I would severely regret it. So
you were spared that regret. It's good.
I was spared that regret. I sort of took that on board and made sure that I wouldn't have to suffer it. And, the hydration just became part of the process. So like I say, that was a change that was required, and you just made it happen. And thereafter, it was not a concern.
Awesome. Great. And what recommendations would you have for anybody who's thinking about signing up for the next round of the program? What would you say to them?
So long as you don't mind making a change to what you're doing, and maybe recognizing that what you were doing wasn't working, so I'll try something new, and then just trust in the process. There were a couple of days where, things seem to be stalling and stagnating, and you're thinking, I'm doing all of this, and what the hell's the point? But, those moments were, those days were followed by click. Yeah. Things have changed.
Boom.
And then, I've got other personal trainer friends that sort of, you weigh yourself every day? Absolutely, because there is positive feedback happening nearly every morning that you wake up. So, trust the process, stick with it, keep in touch with you, for those little days where everyone sort of blips or feels that it's not happening, and just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I must say it was an absolute pleasure having you as part of the whole thing. You brought a lot of good energy to the community. That's it.
Yeah. It was a good group. Great recipe ideas. I'm really envious of your barbecue friend, because he was just making
he's making everybody else look bad.
Well, indeed, lots of ideas, and it's sort of like, yeah, I wish I could be bothered, but so the other thing, I did view the food as, certainly for the first couple of weeks, it was just, right, I need to tick the boxes. I think towards the end of it, I started to enjoy it a bit more because I'd had the time to come up with recipes that worked and, were tasty, effective, blah-de-blah. But the first couple of weeks, it was just, right,
just put this in my face.
Protein.
Go.
I need to add some, which I did find quite amusing, fiber additions. Pick your fiber additions, aka vegetables. And, the first couple of weeks were a bit dull, but after that it did become interesting because, everyone was putting up their own ideas for recipes and things. And, there were some successes and some fails. I will say that lean turkey mince does not make a nice burger.
No, man. Like, I don't know. I can't do turkey either. I'll take it at Christmas, but the rest of the time it's like, no, it doesn't work for everybody.
even at Christmas, if it's not dark meat, I'm not interested. But 5% or whatever it is, turkey mince, with an egg white just makes the most unpalatable burger I think I've ever eaten.
Yeah, well, that's good though. That spirit of adventure. You're going to have some successes. You're going to have some failures. You're going to dive in and try these things.
Absolutely. You learn things, and it's like, right, I learned that I don't like turkey mince,
which is good learning. Yep.
Yeah, indeed. Mind you, I ate more mince and more chicken breast over that 6-week period than I'm sure I've eaten for a while, but it does the job.
Chickens of the countryside were quaking in fear, right?
Yep, indeed.
Good man. Well, listen, Chris, you absolutely rocked it. What was the, was it 7 point? No, you're down 7.4 kilos now, aren't you? You kind of kept going after the program. Yeah.
Yep. I think I've dropped about another 2.5 kilos since it ended.
I'll just say myself, it's been an absolute pleasure working with you this time. It's been great to reconnect and kind of hang out for these few weeks. And thank you very much for taking the time to sit down and chat to us today and tell us about your experience. Yes,
mate, it's been a pleasure, and couldn't recommend the process or the support more highly. So
awesome. Well,
good luck with your next cohort.
Well, thank you very much, sir, and thank you once again, and I wish you a very happy Friday.
Yep, you too, buddy. Take care.